ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಖಾಲಿ ಜಾಗ ಭರ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊಂದಿಸಿ ಬರೆದು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಮಾಡಿ
ಚಿತ್ರ ಬರೆದು ಭಾಗವ ಹೆಸರಿಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೂ ಉತ್ತರಿಸಿ
ಪಾಸು ಫೇಲು ಗೆಲುವು ಸೋಲು ಜೀವನ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮಿಗಿಲು
ಅಂಕಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಮೇಲಿನ ತೊಗಟೆ ವಿದ್ಯೆ ಅದರ ಒಳಗಿನ ತಿರುಳು ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿ.
Hi, hello, namaste. Welcome to Punarmanana classes, that is revision classes for 10th standard students. I am Guru Raj Basurkar, working as high school teacher, presently block resource person in Devnali Taluk, Bangalore rural district. In today's session, I am going to discuss about the introduction to trigonometry chapter. Let us take chapter number 11, Introduction to Trigonometry. It is one of the most important chapter in mathematics. If you read this statement, that is a statement given by Herbert, we are getting the importance of trigonometry in mathematics subject. Let us take the points to recall, that is a concept which we have discussed in trigonometry in our actual classes. Today we are going to recall these points one by one. The first one, what is this trigonometry? What is tri stands for 3, gon stands for sides, metron stands for measure. That is 3 sides measuring branch of mathematics is nothing but a trigonometry. Let us take the proper idea of the trigonometric definition. See, I have triangle model here. This model contains 3 sides and 3 angles, hence it is a triangle. We know how to measure the length of the sides by using scale, and we know how to find the or measure the angles of the triangle by using protractor. But in trigonometry, if angles of these triangles are given, we can find the values of the length of the sides in ratio form or actual numbers also, or if length of the sides are given, we can find the angles of this triangle. So, hence trigonometry is nothing but a relationship between the sides and the angles of the triangle. The next one, why actually we need this trigonometry chapter? So, we know many times, let us take this is a Qutub Minar monument. If you want to find the height of this or this kind of objects, we need this trigonometry. Similarly, here a river is there, I think 2 buildings we are seeing. If you want to see this temple from this place, using that we can find the width of the river. That means we can find the distance or heights or many more things if you know the trigonometry concept properly. In this chapter, we are concentrating basic ideas related to trigonometry. The first one is, in trigonometry we are having 6 trigonometric ratios. How we are defining the trigonometric ratios? Let us take one by one. Trigonometric ratios. This is a right angle triangle. So, the trigonometry we are discussing in only right angle triangle. If any other triangles are given, by construction we are converting as a right angle triangle, then only we are naming the trigonometric ratios. So, here ABC is a triangle where angle B is 90 degree, hence this is right angle triangle. A and C are acute angles. Here I am marking this C angle as theta. We know the side which is opposite to right angle vertex is called hypotenuse. Hence, AC is hypotenuse. Here this C angle we are denoting it as theta. Theta is a Greek letter. We can use any other symbols also here. The next one is remaining two sides we are naming based on the angle which is marked in a right angle triangle. Now, see, AB is opposite side to the angle C, that is theta here, hence AB is called opposite side with respect to this theta, and BC is called adjacent side because this side actually makes this theta or C angle other than the hypotenuse, hence this is called adjacent side. So, if any one acute angle is marked, we must know the name of these three sides. What is the first one? The side which is opposite to right angle vertex is called as hypotenuse. The side which is opposite to marked acute angle is called opposite side, and the remaining side which is adjacent to marked side is called adjacent side. Now, comes the first trigonometric ratio, that is sin theta. See here, sin theta. Sin and theta both together we are taking, that is sin and theta, they are not separate, sin theta. Sin, S-I-N-E, we are writing here it as a sin theta. What is a sin theta? Sin theta is one of the trigonometric ratio, can be defined as ratio between opposite side and hypotenuse of a given right angle triangle with respect to marked angle. In this case, opposite side is AB, hypotenuse is AC, hence it is AB by AC. Which is the second one? Cos theta, that is a cosine, we are writing it as cos theta, that is cos theta, which is nothing but a ratio between the adjacent side and hypotenuse. Adjacent side is BC here, hypotenuse is AC, hence BC by AC is cos theta. The next is tangent theta, that is tan theta. Tan theta, which is nothing but a ratio between opposite side and adjacent side of a given right angle triangle. Then what is the opposite here? AB. What is adjacent side? BC. Therefore, AB by BC gives the tan theta with respect to this triangle. Similarly, we are getting 3 more trigonometric ratios, that is sin theta reciprocal, cos theta reciprocal and tan theta reciprocal. Let us take one by one. Here again same right angle triangle here ABC, and we have named these 3 sides with respect to angle C, that is theta. Cosec theta is the reciprocal trigonometric ratio of sin theta, which is nothing but a ratio between hypotenuse and opposite side. Here hypotenuse is AC, opposite side is AB. The next one is the secant theta, which is nothing but a reciprocal of cos theta and which is defined as ratio between hypotenuse and adjacent side, that is AC by BC. The last trigonometric ratio is cot theta, which is reciprocal of tan theta, which is defined as ratio between adjacent side and opposite side. With respect to this right angle triangle, the adjacent side is BC and opposite side is AB, that is BC by AB gives the cot theta value here. See, all these 6 trigonometric ratios we can define in any right angle triangle. Let us take here, I am just showing one right angle triangle, correct. Now you just observe here, the triangle is like this. Suppose if this is theta, right, if I am going to change the position of this triangle like this, where is theta now? Theta is here only, right. In such case, the opposite side with respect to this is this one only. So, we must remember right angle triangle may be like this or like this or like this. They can give only the different positions, right. In all the cases, we must identify the name of the sides of the right angle triangle if theta is marked. Clear, my dear students? See, let us take, in this case, this is ABC triangle, angle C is theta. This is ABC triangle, that is C is theta. Similarly, here C is theta. In all 3 triangles, the trigonometric ratios become same only. Observe this properly, right. If you know this, the first exercise which is there in trigonometry chapter is very easy to solve. Why? Means the triangle position may be like this or like this or like this. In whole exercise, he has only changed either name of the triangle different or position of the triangle may be any one of these 3 are different here. Clear? Any kind of confusion if you have, you please observe here, can remember very easily sin theta is O by H, cos theta is A by H, tan theta is O by A. Similarly, remaining 3 reciprocal of these 3 we are defining. The next comes reciprocal relation of trigonometric ratios. What is that? We know right angle triangle is there, we have named all 3 sides. Let us take sin theta. With respect to PQR, R is marked as theta, so opposite by hypotenuse, that is PQ by PR is sin theta. Clear? See, sin theta is PQ by PR. What is the reciprocal trigonometric ratio of sin theta? that is cosec theta. Let us take cosec theta value, that is a ratio with respect to this triangle, that is cosec theta is equal to hypotenuse by opposite side, that is PR by PQ. In the next step, let us multiply these two, that is sin theta into cosec theta. What is sin theta ratio here? O by H. What is cosec theta? H by O. That means PQ by PR into PR by PQ. Can you cancel this and this? Similarly, this and this, because they are same length of the sides here, hence the measurement of these two are same and these two are same. If they get cancelled, means the product is 1 here. Therefore, sin theta into cosec theta is 1. Similarly, my dear students, with respect to this triangle, if you define cos theta and secant theta, multiply them, we are getting 1 only. What is one more reciprocal relation? Tan theta, cot theta, take the product, final result is 1. We can see these results in this table, that is a reciprocal relation of trigonometric ratios. You just observe the first one, sin theta is 1 by cosec theta, or cosec theta is 1 by sin theta, or product of these two is 1. Similarly, cos theta is 1 by secant theta, or secant theta is 1 by cos theta, and cos theta into secant theta is 1. And lastly, the reciprocal of cot theta is tan theta, or tan theta is equal to 1 by cot, here cot is equal to 1 by tan, the product of these two is 1. These three are very important. While solving the problem, we are using these relations. If theta is same, then if you are multiplying, the product is 1. Let us see, here we have written tan theta as sin theta by cos theta. Similarly, cot can be written as cos by sin. We know very well, because sin theta is O by H, cos theta is A by H, H get cancelled, we are getting tan relation if you are taking sin and cos ratio. Using these information or concept, let us take one very simple problem. If you know this problem means, we can do any kind of problem by keeping these ideas in our mind. Let us take the problem. Problem is very simple here. ABC is a right angle triangle at B vertex. If AB is equal to 24, BC is equal to 7 and angle C is theta, then find all trigonometric ratios with respect to theta. If you want to solve this problem, what may be the first step? Very good. I think we have to draw the figure. Name this as ABC. B is 90, hence at B vertex 90 degree we have taken. C is theta, take C as theta. What is the second step? This is by keeping the given problem, we got this diagram. The second one is identify the sides with respect to theta. We know very well, here theta opposite is AB, that is opposite side O, I am just mentioning here. H means hypotenuse, the longest side of the right angle triangle or opposite to right angle vertex, that is AC here. Lastly, adjacent to marked angle, that is BC, is adjacent side A. After this, see here, problem is here, the value of AB is given, the value of BC is given, we need one more side value, hence we are taking step number 3 as Pythagoras theorem. Apply Pythagoras theorem because two sides of this right angle triangle is given, we have to find the third side. In given problem itself, all three sides are given, then no need to use this. Here AB and BC values are given, hence we are applying Pythagoras theorem. What is the Pythagoras theorem? We know the square on hypotenuse is equal to sum of the squares on other two sides, that is AC squared equals AB squared plus BC squared is the result of the Pythagoras theorem with respect to this triangle. Let us substitute the value. AB as 24 here, BC as 7 here, therefore 24 square plus 7 squared, simplify, finally we are getting AC as 25. This is the third step while doing this kind of problem. Next step is very simple. See here, triangle, same triangle. I am just naming what is H here, 25, O 24, A 7, that is AC, AB, BC. That is step number 4. The last step is take 1/1 ratio. What is sin theta? O by H. O is here, AB, H is AC, substitute the values. Similarly, cos theta, tan theta, just we are using these three, writing the ratio form, replace the values, we are getting these. Similarly, the reciprocal of each one, therefore, cosec theta is 25 by 24 we got, secant theta is 25 by 7, similarly cot theta is 7 by 24. Like this, we are calculating or finding all trigonometric ratios if right angle triangle with the length of the two sides or three sides or a relation between the sides are given. The next one is, most of the students are finding difficulty in applying the Pythagoras theorem. Let us take, that is a Pythagoras theorem with respect to triangle number 1, 2, 3. You observe carefully, here hypotenuse is question mark, here BC is question mark, here AB we have to find. While applying Pythagoras theorem for this, see here, AC squared is equal to AB squared plus BC squared. If you are going to apply for this, same AC squared only because AC is hypotenuse. For this also AC is hypotenuse. Remember, most of the time the students how they are making mistake means, which side is not given, they are going to start BC squared is equal to AC squared plus AB squared, which is 100% wrong. You must observe the given right angle triangle properly, identify hypotenuse, always square up the hypotenuse is equal to sum of the squares on other two sides. Then substitute in all three cases. See the simplification procedure here. So, square, add, answer. Here after squaring we are shifting 6 squared here and simplify 8 we got. Here also same thing 6. Observe the way of simplification. So, this is a very important step while doing first exercise in trigonometry chapter. The next one is, Let us take one more sum. I think observe here 6 cot theta is equal to 8. Find the value of this. It is very simple. First is this is a given data I am writing here. Data is 6 cot theta is equal to 8. Can you shift 6 to the right side? Yes, that becomes cot theta is 8 by 6. Then what is cot theta? That is reciprocal of tan, which is nothing but a adjacent side by opposite side. Step 2, take the diagram. Theta is here, opposite side is here, adjacent side is here. The value of these two in ratio form we know. The next step is, see, apply Pythagoras theorem. When you are applying Pythagoras theorem, we know already O is 6, A is 8, that is in ratio form. For convenient purpose, here I have taken 6 and 8. If you want, you can take this as 6x, this as 8x. Using 6 and 8 or 6x and 8x, we can find AC by using Pythagoras theorem. Substitute. Finally, we got the value of AC as 10, that is 10x here, 10x, 8x, 6, or convenient purpose, this is 8, this is 6, we can consider this as 10. After getting 3 sides of right angle triangle, let us find sin theta and cos theta value. Consider the value what we have to find, substitute and simplify. I hope we can get the result. Before taking that, here O opposite side is AB, that is 6 we got, adjacent side is 8, hypotenuse is 10. Let us make a note of these 3 separately in step 3 only. After this, see here again triangle, I am taking sine O by H, substitute 6 by 10. So, cos is 8 by 10. Suppose if you are taking this is 6x, 10x means x get cancelled. Similarly here, for that purpose I have told, for convenient you take 8, 6 and whatever hypotenuse we have calculated, that is 10 only. See, if you want to find the value of this, replace sin theta value here as 6 by 10, cos theta value as 8 by 10 here, that is the next step we got. This is a numerator, this is a denominator. Take numerator separately, denominator separately, simplify, then finally replace numerator and denominator value, finally we are getting. But here directly I am taking numerator value is here, denominator value is here, we are taking only square. After this take LCM, LCM is 100, denominator LCM is also 100, simplify 64 by 36, finally that is 16 by 9 we got. This 16 by 9 is the value of 1 minus sin square theta by 1 minus cos square theta. This is a one way of getting this result. Suppose if you want to solve this by any other way, can you think any other way? Yes, because we know identities. This is a revision class only, but we know the identity for these two. If you apply identity, we can get same result only. Let us take the alternative method of getting this value if this data is given. Here triangle actually which is not required anyhow, I am just considering this triangle, 1 minus sin square theta, 1 minus cos square theta. We know the identity for this, that is cos square theta, for this it is sin square theta, cos by sin is cot theta, that is square is there, hence it is cot square theta. My dear student, what is the cot theta value in data? That is 8 by 6, square is there, right square. What is 8 squared? 64. 6 squared? 36. Simplify, we got 16 by 9 only. In both cases, we got same result. See, you must very careful while solving the problem based on trigonometry. You can do any appropriate method, then you are getting 100% correct answer, right. This is the alternative method for this problem. In textbook, many problems are there based on the basic ideas, probably you can solve by different methods. Let us take the next one, that is trigonometric ratios of some specific angles. What is the some specific angles? Let us take here, I am taking this is a right angle triangle, this is right angle, these two are acute angles. That means this angle is greater than 0 and less than 90 degree, right. This may be 1 degree or till 89 we can take. Among 0 to 90 degree, we are considering few angles as standard angles. For 10th standard purpose, we are considering 0, 30, 45, 60 and 90 degree as specific angle. If you just move to higher classes, there still we are getting few more angles. Let us learn only this much now. So, what is a trigonometric ratios of specific angles? Let us take a table here, directly I am just going to take this table, that is a standard angle table or specific angle table. I think I have told 0, 30, 45, 60, 90 are standard angles. With respect to sin 0 degree, the value is 0. Sin 30 degree, the value is 1 by 2. Sin 45 is 1 by root 2. Sin 60 degree is root 3 by 2. Sin 90 degree is 1. Observe carefully, the first trigonometric ratio, that is a value with respect to these standard angles we are writing. Second one is cos. How to write cos? So, same value, write it in reverse order. 0 I am writing last, 1 by 2 here, this here, this here and 1 is here. How to get tan? Take sin by cos. What is this by this is 0, this by this 2 get cancel 1 by root 2. Here same term get cancel 1, here 2 get cancel, that is root 3, 1 by 0 is not defined, right. If denominator is having 0, then we are calling it as a not defined number. Cot is reciprocal of tan. Observe here, we are just taking the reciprocal of all these values. Secant is reciprocal of cos. Cosec is reciprocal of sin. See the next point, how we are getting these values. Now I am going to take what is a sin 0 is 0, why it is 0, sin 90 is 1. Let us take small activity here. Observe, this is a right angle triangle, this is a right angle triangle. Here at this point 90 degrees formed, at this point 90 degrees formed, right. I am taking this is a acute angle which is I am taking it as a theta, right. Suppose this angle becomes 0, this angle becomes 0 means, see I want to move this towards the base. Observe carefully, the angle is reducing here, when it becomes 0 means the opposite side of this angle, this is blue color now, that must becomes 0. Observe here, if this is 0, then only this angle becomes 0. That means, what is the sin theta? Opposite by hypotenuse, opposite becomes 0, 0 by hypotenuse is 0 here. Clear? Similarly, how we are getting sin 90 degree, see here sin 90 degree is 1. Let us take now, this is a right angle triangle, this is a right angle triangle, right. I am taking this as theta, this as theta. Suppose if you want to make this as 90 degree, so move towards the side which is opposite to marked angle. Observe here, now the angle is increasing here, angle is increasing, it becomes how much now? 90 degree, correct now? When it becomes 90 degree, see here, this is a marked angle, this is opposite side, this is hypotenuse. If these two become same, means coincide, then only the angle marked become 90 degree. Therefore, opposite side and hypotenuse are equal. Therefore, sin theta is opposite side by hypotenuse. If they are equal, means the ratio becomes 1. Hence, see, sin 90 degree is 1 here, right. So, the for remembering purpose I am just showing this simple activity. I think many models we can make, but if you feel confusion, means probably you can use small sticks and identify them. Then what is this 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree, how we are getting? Let us take that also. We can find sin 30, 45, 60 degree by doing this small activity. I am just using set squares here. I think observe here, in our instrument box we are using or seeing these two. First one, this one, observe this side is equal to this side and here it is 90 degree. This is called isosceles right angle triangle. Similarly, in this case, this is hypotenuse and the base is half of the hypotenuse. If you measure, you are getting idea, right. In this case, this is 90, means the each angle of remaining two angles is 90 degree here. In this case, it is 90 degree, this is 60 degree, this is 30 degree. Now, I am going to take the next one. Here these two, that is each angle is 45. Therefore, A if I am taking means the length of the hypotenuse become A root 2. Here this is 2A, this is half of this means A. If you find this by using Pythagoras theorem, we are getting root 3A. See my dear student, what is sin 45? Opposite by hypotenuse, A cancel, 1 by root 2 we are getting. What is sin 30? Opposite by hypotenuse, A by 2A, A get cancel, 1 by 2. What is sin 60 degrees? This is opposite, this remains hypotenuse, root 3A by 2A, A cancel, root 3 by A. Similarly, we can write all trigonometric ratios by using these two instruments. Please keep these two instrument ideas in your mind, and with the help of them also you can find the values of sine or all trigonometric specific ratios of 30, 45, 60 degree. We can remember the sign or remaining by another way also, that is a remembering technique. Just I want to discuss Observe here, this is a very simple technique. See, 5 fingers are there. I am just naming the each finger as one specific angle. This is 0 degree, 30 degree, 45, 60 and 90 degree. Observe carefully, right? What is this? Yes, 0, 30, 45, 60, 90. We can define each angle in a very simple way by using these 5 fingers. Observe, what is the next? In all sine specific angle, denominator is 2, numerator contains root, whatever inside root we are writing now, you observe here. This is sine 0. Before this, how many fingers are there? No finger. Hence, that is root 0 by 2 is 0. See the next one. See sine 30 degree. This is 30. See 2 is in denominator, root is here, inside root. Before this, how many fingers are there? Only 1. Write root 1 by 2 gives 1 by 2. Then what is sine 45? Sir, before these 2 fingers are there, root 2 by 2 may be the, yes, see here, sine 45 is, this is 2, inside the root 2 divided by 2, simplify this, we got 1 by root 2. Similarly, 60 is 1, 2, 3, that is root 3 by 2. 90 is 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers are there before 90 degree, therefore, root 4 by 2, that is 2 by 2 is 1. Suppose if you want to write tan, very simple, I am just observe here, if you want to find tan 0, before this by after this, 0 by 4 is 0. Tan 30 degree, how many fingers are there before this? 1 by 3 means 1 by root 3. Tan 45, 2 fingers here, 2 fingers here, 2 by 2 is 1. Tan 60, how many fingers are there before? 3 means root 3 by 1 is root 3. Tan 90, 4 fingers, 4 by 0 is not defined. Clear? I think this is the specific angle. I think you can remember that table, or you can practice how you are getting, or using the 5 finger concept also. Let us take one problem based on specific angles. I am taking the problem like this, find the value of this. I think numerator, denominator, take a numerator here separately. What is sine 90? That is 1. What is tan 45? 1. Cosec 30, 2. Whatever sign is there between them, write it, simplify. We got 2 as numerator value. Take denominator separately, substitute the values of these 3 by keeping the table in your mind, add, because plus sign is there, this is the denominator value. Then numerator by denominator, 2 by 4 is nothing but a 1 by 2. Instead of divided by, if it is into or minus or square, for each one also we can do very easily, only while solving the problem based on this, the table is very important. Let us take the next concept, that is trigonometric ratios of complementary angles. What are these complementary angles? We know very well, if sum of any 2 angles is equal to 90 degree, they are called complementary angle. Let us take in this right angle triangle, this is 90 means sum of these 2 is 90 degree, hence this is the complementary angle of this, or this is the complementary angle of this. If this is theta means this become 90 minus theta. So, let us take now, I think right angle triangle, here it is theta means this is 90 minus theta, same triangle here I am writing, but theta this is 90 minus theta, hence I am taking this as 90 minus theta. With respect to theta, this is O H A. With respect to this 90 minus theta, this is O, this is H, this is A. Observe carefully, both the triangles are same. Here theta, because sum of these two is 90, hence this is 90 minus theta, I am taking this here. Can you write sin theta for this? Yes, that is O by H, O is AB by AC. For this I am taking cos 90 minus theta. What is cos 90 minus theta? That is adjacent side by hypotenuse, that is AB by AC. See the ratio here, AB by AC, it is also AB by AC, both are same means these two are same, that is sin theta is equal to cos 90. Sin theta is equal to cos 90 minus theta. Similarly, you take secant theta here, cosec theta here, we are getting secant theta is equal to cosec 90 minus theta. Tan theta here, cot theta here, tan theta is equal to cot 90 minus theta. Let us see the next slide here. Sin is changing, cos, that is cos 90 minus theta is sin theta or sin 90 minus theta is cos. Similarly, cot 90 minus theta becomes tan theta or this. Secant theta is same as cosec 90 minus theta or cosec theta is same as secant 90 minus theta. Observe this table properly, that is these three and similarly these three. Let us take one sum based on the complementary angle concept. I think the problem is like this. Many problems are there, but here I am taking this sum as well as one more sum. Here A, B, C are interior angles of the triangle, then prove that sin of B plus C by 2 is equal to cos A by 2. See, triangle, three angles are given, that is interior angles. What is the sum of three angles of a triangle? 180 degree, very good. Here denominator 2 is there, divide each term by 2. Therefore, 180 by 2 becomes 90. We need B plus C, keep these two term as it is, shift that A by 2 to the right side. We got this. Call this as 1 by taking LCM of the LHS, that is B plus C by 2 is equal to 90 minus A by 2. Consider LHS here. What is that sin of B plus C by 2 I am taking? What is B plus C by 2 from 1? That is 90 minus A by 2. See, sin I am writing as it is. The value of this we have calculated it as 90 minus A by 2 from 1. But we know sin 90 minus theta is what? Cos theta, that is cos theta here is A by 2, hence it is A by 2. This is nothing but a RHS of the given problem, hence we got LHS and RHS are same. Let us take one more problem. I think reason is also we are writing. You must remember, my dear student, whenever we are proving, wherever it is required, you write the reasons for such steps properly. Let us take one more sum. This one, this is a very interesting one. Tan 48 into tan 23 into tan 42 into tan 67 is equal to 1. How to prove this? Take LHS here. While taking LHS, observe very carefully. Take any two angles here, add them, if it is 90 degree, then you make one group. See here, 67 and 23 sum is 90 degree. Similarly, 42 and 48 sum is 90 degree. Why I am making these two as same group? Because we know sum of two angles is equal to 90, means this is complementary angle of 23 or 23 is the complementary angle of 67. Similarly for these two. Now in the next step you must very careful, this and this, that is the first group, these two are in second group. While applying next step, keep the smaller angle as it is. In this group, smaller angle is 23, I am writing as it is. In these two, 42 is smaller one, write as it is. See here, 23 and 42 same, I am writing tan 48 as tan 90 minus 42, 67 as tan 90 minus 23 here. Then what is tan 90 minus theta? It is cot theta. This as it is, this as it is. What is tan 90 minus 23? That is cot 23. Observe here, this is cot 23, this is cot 42. Then make a group where the angles are same. This is 23, this is 23, I am making one group. This is 42, this is 42, another group. See what is angles are same, but here tan, here cot means reciprocal, their product is 1. Similarly, the product of these two is 1, therefore 1 into 1 is 1, hence it is RHS. Instead of into, if any other mathematical sign are given, you can simplify, or squares are given, you can do. Only thing is, you must remember grouping is a first step, writing the smaller one second step, writing the bigger one as 90 minus smaller one, then you continue, you are getting answer. The next very important concept in this chapter is trigonometric identities. I think 3 identities are there. The first and very important identity, which is called as a fundamental identity, is sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1. How it is 1? Take right angle triangle, theta, write all 3 sides. So, sin square theta, sin means O by h, I am writing O by h squared, cos is A by h, that is A by h whole squared. Write OHA in terms of AB, AC and BC here, observe. Take LCM, that is AC squared is LCM, you got numerator as AB square plus BC squared. What is AB square plus BC squared? According to Pythagoras theorem, we can write it as AC squared. The numerator value become AC squared by AC squared, get cancelled 1. Hence, this we are proving here, that is sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1. This is called fundamental identity, my dear students. Using this fundamental identity, see we are getting 2 more identities here. See how we can prove? Very easy. For this fundamental identity, divide each term by cos squared. See, sin squared by cos squared is tan squared, cos squared by cos squared is 1, between them plus is there, I am writing plus. What is 1 by cos squared? That is secant squared. Similarly, divide each term of this fundamental identity by sin squared, that is sin squared by sin squared is 1, cos squared by sin squared is cot squared, between them plus sign, 1 by sin squared is cosec squared. See, if you know this, do this process, that is a procedure, we are getting 2 more identities. The next one, we can write the first fundamental identity as this, second one how we are getting this we know, third one how we are getting this. We can write this as other form, shift cos squared here, 1 minus cos squared is equal to cos squared A is equal to sin squared A, or 1 minus sin squared A is equal to cos squared A. Similarly, observe here how we are getting, or how we can write the same identity in 2 different form. Similarly, same identity in 2 different form, just shifting the term to other side we are getting, but only if you remember first, remaining all are easy to write and also apply while solving the problem. By keeping all these, let us take the problem based on identity. My dear students, while solving identity based problem, we must know the basic ideas and also these three, I think whatever I have written in oval shape formula, that is inside the oval shape, if you know all these, no doubt you can solve any kind of problem properly. Let us take one sum here. Prove that 1 by 1 plus tan squared a plus 1 by 1 plus cot squared a is equal to 1. When we are proving any problem based on trigonometry, most of the time we are considering LHS, right LHS. What is 1 plus tan squared? Apply directly identity for denominator here, denominator here. 1 plus tan squared is 1 by secant squared, 1 by 1 plus cot squared, this become cosec squared, correct na? Then what is 1 by sec? That is cos, that become cos squared. What is 1 by cosec? Sin, that is sin squared. What is sin squared a plus sin cos squared a? 1, which is nothing but a RHS. So simple. See, there is one more way you can write tan as sin by cos, cot as sin by, sorry, cos by sin, again we are getting same result. But sometime if you apply directly the identity here in very easy way, in only 1 or 2 steps we may get result. First think properly. Let us take one more sum. I am taking here, prove that this is equal to this is equal to this. When this kind of problem is solving, consider first term separately. 1 plus tan squared a is secant squared, 1 plus cot squared a is cosec squared. This can be written as 1 by cos squared, this can be written as 1 by sin squared. Take the reciprocal of the denominator, sin squared by cos squared a is tan squared, which is nothing but a, this is equal to this we got. What may be the next step? Consider the middle term here. In the next step I am taking middle term. I am writing tan as sin by cos, cot as cos by sin, take LCM here, take the reciprocal here, square as it is only, but observe the denominator of here as well as numerator of this terms are same, but sign of each one is different here. Hence, in such cases either for this or this you take minus as common for any one. Now, I am taking minus common for this term, this and this same get cancelled. So, minus squared is plus, what is sin by cos? That is tan squared, which is nothing but a from 1 and 2. So, this is equal to tan squared we have proved, this is also equal to tan squared, hence all three are same. When we are solving this kind of problem, confidence is very important, my dear students, and when you are writing next step, at that time you must think properly what may be the next step. Let us take one more sum now. Prove that square root of 1 plus sin a by 1 minus sin a is equal to secant a plus tan a. Same I am taking, take LHS. Whenever root inside this kind of terms we are seeing, for this term multiply the denominator term and change the sign between them. Let us see here, I am taking denominator term, between them plus I am taking, plus I am taking, multiply and divide. Probably this is a rationalizing process concept we are observing here. 1 plus sin theta by 1 plus sin theta, numerator into numerator is same, hence squared I am writing. For denominator I am applying formula, that is a squared minus b squared, that is 1 squared is 1 only, sin squared. What is 1 minus sin squared? Identity I am applying cos squared, see the numerator is same. So, square means for both numerator and denominator square is there. So, whole squared and square root get cancelled, we are getting 1 plus sin by cos, make it as 1 by cos plus sin by cos. 1 by cos is nothing but a secant, sin by cos is nothing but a tan, which is nothing but a RHS. Observe, suppose the students want to do one more sum, very simple, change the sign here plus is there, minus is there, right here plus, right here minus, do same steps, you are getting different answer, that becomes new problem. Suppose if you change sin as cos, one more sum, like this, by keeping a sum in your mind, if you change sin in numerator or denominator or trigonometric identities, if you are changing, many more sum you are getting. Let us take the idea of framing the sum. See, I am taking one sum here. The next sum, I am just changing tan as secant, cot as cosec. Same type here, I am getting new result, but if you are finding that result means prove that sum you can take. For same sum, I am taking a tan as sin, cot as cos. Similarly, here I am getting one more result. This is a new sum. I am taking same sum, between them plus is there, I am taking minus. I may get some other result. Like this, you can frame yourself, solve them, you are getting more confidence. See, when you are solving any kind of identity based problem, just I am giving hints here, consider LHS, apply identity or any other algebraic formulae and change T ratio in sin and cos form if other form are there, that is most of the time we are doing this. Second step, I think remember these identities, whatever algebraic identities are there now you must remember. Then for few other problems, I think after doing this we may get RHS, you must remember this. For few other problem we are taking LHS, solve and stop there, take RHS, solve and stop there, compare finally LHS and RHS, whatever results we got we are getting same. See, there are many ways are there to solve the identity based problem. I am just showing here, this is a one way, that is take LHS, apply, do, or RHS, apply identity and do, you are getting other side, or else take LHS, solve and simplify, call that as 1, take RHS, simplify, call that as 2, compare 1 and 2, you are getting result. See, in 2015 April, I think this problem they have asked. So, see the steps, how easily I think a result you are getting. This is a 3 mark sum. I hope by seeing this, you are getting confidence in trigonometry. Let us take one more sum, that is in June examination same year, this kind of problem they have asked. Observe the steps, where identity we have applied, where that algebraic concept also we have applied. So, finally, what result we are getting? I think I am showing one more sum here. This is very A and B values are given. We have to verify this, replace A value and B value, whatever specific angle table is there, apply here. Finally, same value in LHS and same value in RHS we got, hence verified. I think one more sum is here. See, in LHS 2 terms are there, make them as single term by taking LCM and other process and apply identity. Finally, we are getting a single term which is nothing but a RHS. See, if you want to get 100% confidence in trigonometry chapter, what you have to do? Very simple. First thing, you must know all relations and formulas properly. Conversion also. The second one is, whatever all exercise problems are there, solve carefully in different methods. One more is try to frame the problems and solve. I think just I gave 1 or 2 examples. In that way you try framing problem and solve yourself. This is very important, my dear students. Problem from model papers and previous year question paper, if you are solving, you are getting confidence in trigonometry chapter. Lastly, we can expect 1 mark or 2 mark or 3 mark questions. 1 mark, any identity they may ask, any simple, that is a ratio they may ask, or complementary concept also they may ask. 2 and 3 marks based on these exercise or higher order thinking problem also they may ask. Finally, my dear students, without getting any kind of confusion, with 100% confidence, you can write a problem based on trigonometry if you are following these ideas. With this, I am saying all the best for your examination. Thank you very much. Try to score good marks. Before scoring, enjoy the chapter and enjoy the writing the answers in examination hall. Thank you very much. All the best.
Hi, I am your teacher Rakib. Today we will learn about human eye and colorful world. We need our eyes to see the world around us. The eye has a eyeball which is 2.3 centimeter in diameter. The front of the eyeball is cornea. It is a thin transparent membrane which is bulged out. So that is the first thing in eye. And behind the eye is iris. It is a dark muscular diaphragm which controls the pupil. The pupil, it maintains the amount of light which enters the eye. So it regulates the amount of light that enters the eye. And after that pupil, we have the crystalline lens. That crystalline lens can vary its focal length depending on the object and form an image on the retina, where many light sensitive cells, they form the image in an inverted form, and that information will be sent to the optic nerve. From the optic nerve, the visual information is sent to the brain, where this inverted image is comprehended in a proper and erect manner. With respect to the eye, the major refraction takes place at the cornea, and only the little bit adjustment, minor focal length adjustments happen in the lens. So these are all the things that we just learned about eye. Shape of crystalline lens of eye. We know here in the image, this is a plano-convex lens. One side it is plane and the other side it is convex. Convex means it is bulged at the center and thin at the ends. So here, if you could look here, there are 2 plano-convex lenses in each biconvex lens, formed by combining 2 plano-convex lenses in that way. And this is the actual shape of our eye. This is our eye resembles a biconvex lens. So now we have seen that eye resembles the functioning of a biconvex lens. Now when we look around the objects around us, we see that some objects are near to us and some objects are far away. Our eye should be capable of getting us the proper image even when the object is near as well as when the object is far away from us. So how is it this possible? This use of the lens in our eye is called the power of accommodation. The ability of eye lens to adjust its focal length is called the power of accommodation. So how does the eye lens, crystalline eye lens, adjust its focal length? Let us learn through this ray diagram here. So how does the accommodation work? The purpose of this ray diagram is to understand how the lens functions to make the image on the retina even though the object is near or far. Let us see how that functions. As you can see, the object is at far away distance. Now the light rays are coming from the object on the eye, and the lens has converged those rays on the retina, where light sensitive cells are activated on the retina to form an inverted image. Now we have got the image of an object which is away from the eye. Now we shall go to the next thing. So what is the next activity? It is the object is near to the eye. Now we shall see how the eye functions. See, as soon as the object is near, you can see the thickness of the lens has increased. So when the object comes nearer, the thickness of the lens increases. When the object is away, the thickness of the lens decreases. It becomes thinner when the object is away. When the object is near, the lens becomes thicker. So the curvature is increased. The curvature is increased when the object is near. When the object is away, the curvature is less. It is less curved. Now when the object is near, when the curvature is high, the focal length is less, and it forms the image on the retina in this way. But when the object is away, then the focal length is more. Focal length of the lens is more. When the object is near, the focal length of the lens is less. Now this is how the ability of the lens to accommodate its focal length to form the image on the retina and give us a proper accurate image. Here, when we try to bring any object closer to the eye to read in this way, there is a limit. If we take the object more near to us, then the object may not be visualized properly. It may be blurred. So what is that point we call? That point where we can observe the objects clearly, the minimum distance at which objects can be seen most distinctly without any strain is called the near point of eye. The near point of eye, the value is 25 centimeter for human beings. So now what is the far point of eye? Far point of the eye is the maximum distance from the eye at which the object can be seen accurately or distinctly. Usually this is considered to be infinity. So these are the two concepts, near point and far point. Now with respect to the crystalline lens in the eye, there is one particular defect which is observed in people of old age. As you can see here, the eye is completely milky and cloudy. So the crystalline lens is completely milky and cloudy. This causes partial or complete loss of vision. This defect is called as cataract. Now we will try to learn some other defects of vision which are observed in human beings, in a human eye. There are mainly three common refractive defects of vision. So the first defect of vision, nearsightedness or myopia. If you look at the figure there, you can see that the distant object, that is the board, is not properly visible, whereas the nearby objects are visible. So that means this individual is able to see nearer objects properly, and the farer objects he is not able to see it properly. This type of defect is known as nearsightedness or myopia, where we can see nearer objects distinctly, but we cannot see farer objects distinctly. This is called nearsightedness. So now let us see, why does nearsightedness happen, or what is the reason for nearsightedness. For that we shall go through this ray diagram again. Here we have an object which is near to the eye. Now we will look into the object. The rays are being observed through the lens, and the lens has converged those rays onto the retina. So the nearer object has got a proper image on the retina. Let us see what happens when we put the object at the far away place. Now the object is at the far away place. We will observe that object through the eye. So as you can see, it is getting converged in front of the retina and not on the retina. So this is a case of not a proper image, because the object is away from the eye or away from the lens. So this individual is able to see the nearer objects properly, whereas the farer objects he is not able to see properly. Now we need to understand this nearsightedness, why does it happen? Let us go to the next slide to understand it. You can see there is a difference of two eyeballs here. One is the normal eyeball, the second one is the myopic eyeball. On the normal eyeball, the image has occurred on the retina, here in front of the retina. The reason is the eyeball is elongated. That is why the converged rays could not reach the retina. In fact, because of the bulge, the converged rays, they met at a place in front of the retina, making the image blurry. So that is, we need to understand that the elongation of the eyeball is one of the reason for nearsightedness. How can we rectify this nearsightedness? How can we correct this? As you can see, this is a case of myopia or nearsightedness. We can correct it by using a divergent lens, that is a concave lens. Because this is a concave lens, it diverges the rays which are incident on it, and such divergent rays, when they fall on the eye lens, they get refracted through the crystalline eye lens, thereby getting the image on the retina. So we can correct that myopia by using concave lens. So we can see nearby objects clearly but cannot see distant objects distinctly. Reason: excessive curvature of the eye lens or also elongation of the eyeball. These are the two reasons. One is the eye lens itself may be having a more curvature, which makes the image form in front of the retina because of the more convergence of light rays coming from the object. So the image of distant object is formed in front of the retina. So the correction is concave lens of appropriate power. This we have seen. Now we will go to the farsightedness. What is this farsightedness? Let us take the example of an object which is far away and its image is being formed. As we can see, the image is being formed on the retina. So this individual is able to see the far away object clearly. What happens when that object comes nearer? In the second case, you can see the object is nearer to the eye. Let us see how the rays move in the object which is near. So you have seen that the converged rays, they are joining at a point which is behind the retina. That means here at the retina, those rays have not converged at one point. So this is not a proper image. So when the object is far away, the image is formed properly. When the object is nearer, the image is not proper. So this is what we called the defect of vision, farsightedness or hypermetropia, where we can see the far away objects clearly but the nearer objects are blurry. So why did this happen? What is the reason? How can we correct it? Here we can correct the farsightedness by making use of a convex lens. We have made use of a convex lens there. This is an example of farsightedness. Here we are making use of a convex lens. What will convex lens do? When the rays fall on the convex lens, it converges them and makes them fall on the crystalline lens, which again converges them to make the rays fall on the retina. Earlier the rays were converging at a point outside the retina. The retina was not getting the point of convergence. So now it has been rectified. Now the image is proper, and we can send it, the eye will send it through the optic nerve to the brain to perceive a proper image. So, we need to look into why and how this farsightedness happens. So, all these on the screen we have seen already. The focal length of the eye lens is too long. So, the eye lens which was present in the front after the cornea, its focal length is too long. That is why the rays were not able to converge on retina, rather after the retina, and the eyeball has become too small. If the eyeball has become too small, then also the rays may not be able to converge on the retina, they will converge behind the retina because the eyeball is small now in case of farsightedness. Remember, in case of nearsightedness, in myopia, we knew that the eyeball was elongated and image was forming in front of the retina, that defect. Here the eyeball is small, and because of which the rays are converging behind the retina. So, to cure this, to rectify this, we make use of convex lens to rectify the farsightedness. This is the third type of defect, presbyopia. It is also one type of farsightedness, but this is caused in middle and old age people above 40 years. Here also they are comfortable at viewing objects which are away from the eye, but they are not able to visualize properly the objects which are nearer to the eye. So, the power of accommodation of the eye usually decreases with aging. Long-sightedness caused by the loss of elasticity of the lens of the eye occurring typically in middle and old age. For most people, the near point recedes away. That means they will tend to read books by holding at a far away distance. They will tend to look into the mobile phones by holding at a far away distance from the eye. So, that is the presbyopia. They find it difficult to see nearby objects comfortably and distinctly. The reason is the gradual weakening of ciliary muscles and diminishing flexibility of the eye lens, because of which the resolution of the image cannot be achieved on the retina properly. Sometimes a person may suffer both from myopia and hypermetropia, so they require bifocal lenses which are having both concave and convex lenses to rectify this type of defects of vision. Now, we will go to the refraction of light through a prism. Here is a prism. Here is the incident ray PQ. Incident ray is traveling in a rarer medium, that is air. This prism is a glass medium which is a denser medium. So, ray of light is traveling from a rarer medium to a denser medium. Let us see what happens. So, now the ray is traveling. Now, it changed its direction, it bent. So, refraction took place. When the ray of light PQ was incident on the prism, it refracted, and this we saw that this is a normal at Q, that is a perpendicular we have drawn, and the bent ray is near to the normal, is coming near to the normal. So, when a ray of light passes from a rarer medium to denser medium, that is from air to glass, the refracted ray, it comes near to the normal. Normal means the perpendicular drawn at point E. So, EF is the ray of light passing through the glass prism, and RS is the emergent ray. What is happening there? EF is a denser medium. Ray of light is traveling from denser medium to air, that is rarer medium. Denser medium to rarer medium, and the ray of light is traveling, and this is the normal. We can see it is bending away from the normal. So, here we need to remember two important points. When a ray of light travels from rarer medium to denser medium, the refracted ray comes near to the normal. When the ray of light passes from a denser medium to a rarer medium, the refracted light is away from the normal. Now, what we shall do is, we shall extend this PQ in this way. If there was not a prism there, the PQ ray would have went in that direction. We shall also extend this line SR. So we observe that both of them they meet at point G. We shall measure that angle D. So this PQ would have travelled in this direction, but now it is travelling in direction RS because of the glass prism and refraction. When we extend this, we get the angle D. So what is this angle D? This angle D is the angle of deviation. So angle of deviation we have got here. It shows us that how much the ray has refracted, emergent ray has refracted from the incident ray, or deviated from the incident ray. Now we will try to learn dispersion of white light by a glass prism. The splitting of white light into its 7 constituent color when passed through a prism is dispersion. The colors are violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red, which we remember by using the acronym VIBGYOR. So here which color bends the most is the violet, red bends the least. We shall look into this diagram here. As you can see, this is dispersion of white light by a glass prism. This is the incident beam of white light which is falling on the glass prism. What happened after the light was incident? Inside the prism we are seeing refractions, there is bending of light, but this refraction is not uniform. We can see 7 different refracted rays are found here. Again, when the 7 rays are exiting from the glass prism, when they are emerging out of the glass prism, we can again see there are 7 different colors. Why did this happen? This breaking up of white light into its constituent color is called as dispersion. Colors we know which are the 7 colors, but the question is, why did the violet bend the most? As you can see, if the trajectory of the white light, if we had drawn it in this way, you can compare that the least deviated is red, the most deviated from the incident ray direction is violet. This is the most bent color. Now this can be solved by observing the wavelength of the colors. As you can see, violet is having a wavelength of 400 nanometer. In the same way, we are seeing here the other colors are having wavelengths intermediate to violet and red. Red is having a highest wavelength out of the visible spectrum, that is of 700 nanometer. So this violet has lowest wavelength, because of which its refractive index is high. Violet's refractive index is high. That is why it bends most. Whereas the red, it has the highest wavelength, because of which it has the lowest refractive index, because of which it bends the least. So now let us see what is white light. White light is defined as the complete mixture of all the wavelengths of the visible spectrum. This means that if I have beams of light of all the colors of the rainbow and focused all of the colors onto a single point, the combination of all the colors will result in a beam of white light. So just in the previous slides, we saw violet light slows down even more than red light. It moves slowly. So it is refracted at a slightly greater angle. It bends the most because it moves slowly, because it has a lesser wavelength. The refractive index of red light is 1.513 and the refractive index of violet light is 1.532. As you can see, the refractive index of violet is more, it bends more. Refractive index of red is less, it bends less. We have seen that when white light is passed through through a prism, it disperses into 7 colors. Newton, he tried to check whether by passing these colors, these rays of light in another prism, we could get more number of colors. So he placed it again the two prisms one beside the other, but he was not able to get the more colors apart from these. So what did he do was he inverted the second prism and he checked what the emergent ray was. He found that when the incident ray on the first prism was white light, after all the dispersion, when 7 colors were incident on the second prism, again all the 7 colors combined to give out the white light on the screen. So he came to the conclusion that white light is made up of these 7 colors. The combination of 7 colors gives white light. So this experiment we can learn that white light is made up of 7 colors. Now this is another phenomena which we have observed in our daily life, rainbow. Usually when will the rainbow occur? After it has drizzled, when the atmosphere is filled with water droplets. Here is one beautiful rainbow which you can observe. Here also you can see violet has bent the most and red is bent the least. Now we shall try to identify how the rainbow occurred. These are all small water particles through which some mechanism is happening. These are all single droplets which have combined to form a rainbow. And one condition is the rays of light should be from the opposite direction to form a rainbow. Let us move further. This is an incident ray falling on the water droplet. This is a water droplet. As you can see, when the light ray was entering the water droplet, it refracted, where the violet bent the most and red bent the least. The first thing happens in the water droplet when rainbow forms is refraction happens. After refraction, what happened at this end? 7 colors, it dispersed into 7 colors, and there reflection happened. That is the total internal reflection. All the 7 rays of colors of light, they reflected back. So refraction is happening at the entry point, that is the incident into the water droplet, and here the total internal reflection is occurring. So after that, again when the rays are emerging out of the water droplet, again refraction is occurring. So again you can see violet is bending most, red is bending least. So these rays, when they come out, these are the 7 colors, different colors. We know that violet to red, the entire band, 7 colors comes out of the water droplet, and the beautiful rainbow is formed, which we have enjoyed. So not just in our local environment, but refraction can also be seen in celestial phenomena, in between Earth and its planets and stars. We see refraction. So twinkling of stars and advanced sunrise and delayed sunset, all these are an example of atmospheric refraction. Let us try to learn atmospheric refraction. As you can see, this is an image where taken on a hot day, the land is hotter, because of which the air which is in touch with the land is hot compared to the air at the above. So this is cooler, this is hot, air is hot here, air is cool at the top. So what happens now? The hot air, it becomes rarer, and the cool air, it becomes denser. So because of this, the objects which are visible here, they may start flickering, or moving. This movement is being caused because of the hot air present here, not because anything else. So this is one example which we have seen in our daily life. Let us try to increase the scale of refraction and try to learn some atmospheric phenomena with respect to Earth. This is the image of Earth's atmosphere, that is layers of air present above the Earth. Here is an image of Earth and different stars. As you can see, the star is a single point source of light. So here some another star is nearby, which is why we are getting a big light here. Otherwise, star is a single source of light. Now we shall see what happens when an observer looks at the single point source of light. There is a single point source of light which is called a star. The star's actual position is here, but the observer is observing that the star is present here. So this is the apparent star position. What do you mean by apparent star position? Apparent star position means even though the star is not actually present there, the observer feels that the star is present there, but the star is actually present at this point. Actual point is this one. So this usually happens. We have seen in our daily life, when in a bucket of water, when we have put a coin, then we see that the coin is elevated. This is because of the refraction. In the same way, we can apply the same concept here. As you can see, light coming from a star, from a single point source of light, is very small. There is no error, the chance of error. So when it comes into the atmosphere, there are various layers of atmosphere present when it reaches the observer. When we at the ground, it may be denser. At the elevated levels, the air is rarer. So the ray of light, when it passes through various layers of atmosphere, it bends, like it has bent here, it has bent there, because the atmosphere changes frequently. So when the light is entering from a rarer medium to a denser medium, we have seen from the experiment of the glass prism that it bends towards the normal. This is the normal, it bends towards the normal. Here again, when the light is entering from a relatively rarer medium to a relatively denser medium, again it is bending towards the normal. So here we have drawn the normal. So that is why the observer is looking at the star as present in this point, which is the apparent position of the star. But what about planets? That is why stars twinkle. We just saw the stars twinkle, but the planets don't twinkle. The reason is the planet, it is not a single point source of light. It is just reflecting the light of sun or moon also, and still it is nearer to earth. That is why when it is nearer to earth, we have multiple points from where the reflected light is coming to the earth. When it is nearer to the earth, we have multiple points from which the rays of light are reflected back to the earth. So they cancel the effect of refraction, unlike the star, which is a single point source of light, which cannot cancel the effects of refraction. That is why the planets and satellites, they don't twinkle, because they are nearer to earth, and the effects of refractions, they cancel out because of the disk shape is visible, not a single point source of light. That's what we have written here, that the planets don't twinkle. As you can see, the much closer planets appear instead as a tiny disk in the sky. So their effects, diffractions effects, cancel out, and twinkling is not possible. Horizon. What is horizon? Horizon is an imaginary point where we can see the sky as well as land, or the sea as well as sky combine each other. That is the horizon. Now why do we need the horizon? We need the concept of horizon to study the extended sunrise and delayed sunset that we see in our daily life. Let us take this example here. This is the sun and this is our earth. We know that sun is bigger than earth, but because the sun is very far away from earth, we have taken it in a smaller size. So let us say our observer is here at this point, so the sun is below the horizon for him, it should not be visible to him, but let us see whether the sun is visible or not. See the ray of light, it comes here. What is this? This is atmosphere, earth's atmosphere, air. So through that air it gets refracted and reaches the observer, who observes despite the sun being below the horizon. This is the horizon, the sun is still visible to the observer because of the refraction of light. So when the sun has set, despite the sun is below the horizon, for 2 minutes the observer is able to see the refraction until the sun goes down and deeper. So, this is delayed sunset. How about the extended sunrise? Let us say here at this point the sun is at the stage of rising, still it is not above the horizon. When it is not above the horizon, it should not be visible to the observer, but as the air is present here, the ray of light, even though it is not reaching to the observer directly, it is going to the air and refracting from there and reaching the observer. So, before the sunrise itself, when the sun approaches the horizon, the observer gets to see the sunrise. This is what we call extended sunrise. So, this is scattering of light. Scattering of light, the sky appears blue. This is because of scattering of light. So, what is scattering of light? Atoms or molecules which are exposed to light absorb light energy and re-emit light in different directions with different intensity. So, they take the light and emit the light in different directions. Let us observe the same phenomena here. Here the moisture or water droplets, they are dispersing the light in different directions. Here in the window image, the dust is dispersing or scattering the light in different directions. Here the true solution, we are not able to see the path of the light. Here we are able to see the path of the light because of the particles which are present in the atmosphere there. Here in the other two samples, we are able to see the path of the light because they are colloidal solutions. The first one is the true solution where the path of light is not visible. We have seen that due to smoke and water molecules and dust, we can see the path of the light when it is traveling. So, the phenomena of scattering of light by colloidal particles which makes the beam visible is Tyndall effect. Here the path of light is visible. The color of scattered light depends on the size of the scattering particles. The color of scattered light depends, if the lesser the size, then bluish color will be scattered more. If bigger the size of the particles, then red color will be scattered more. So, why is the color of the sky blue? The molecules of air and other fine particles in the atmosphere have size smaller than the wavelength of visible light. That is why these are more effective in scattering lights of shorter wavelength at the blue end rather than longer wavelength at the red end. So, that means in our atmosphere blue light is scattered more because the particles in the atmosphere are of the size of the lower end of there is a blue color of the visible spectrum. When sunlight passes through atmosphere, fine particle in air scatter the blue color more than the red. That is why the sky is blue. So, the scattered blue light enters our eye. You might have observed that the danger symbols are already always used in a red fashion. The red color is chosen for signifying danger. This is because the red does not scatter much. The red is least scattered by fog or smoke. Therefore, it can be seen with the same color and people can easily understand that there is some danger, we should not go near it or we should be alarmed. So, this is an activity to find the color of sun at the sunrise and sunset. Here what we have done is we have made use of a power source and we have made use of a tank where we put 2 liter of clear water and 200 gram of sodium thiosulfate and we add 2 to 3 ml of sulfuric acid. This is a cardboard with one hole and here we have taken 2 lenses and a screen. So, when we give the light source, it refracts and with light passes through the tank here containing all the things which we put there, and we observe that at the far end it is red in color, the light is red in color, whereas here we get from the 3 corners we get the blue color. So, here we can see that when the light rays are far away, the color is blue. Here in the sulfur particles, they try to precipitate here, they scatter blue light more from the 3 sides, and on the 4th side we get the red color. That is why we know that the reddening of sun at sunrise and sunset, where at that point the sun is at the farthest distance from earth and the rays need to travel more distances. Also, they need to travel denser layers of atmosphere, because of which they are they are visible in a red manner. So these are the reasons why we see the sun red in color at sunrise and sunset. So today we have learnt how human eye is structured and how it functions. We have seen how to cure the defects of vision. We have seen how the refraction takes place in a prism. We have seen how dispersion takes place in a prism. We have learnt how atmospheric refraction takes place and what is apparent position of a star and why the sky is blue, and also we have learnt about the Tyndall effect, and also we have known why the sun is red in color at the sunrise and sunset. So this is regarding human eye and the colorful world. So all the best for your examination, and thank you very much.
ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಖಾಲಿ ಜಾಗ ಭರ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊಂದಿಸಿ ಬರೆದು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಮಾಡಿ
ಚಿತ್ರ ಬರೆದು ಭಾಗವ ಹೆಸರಿಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೂ ಉತ್ತರಿಸಿ
ಪಾಸು ಫೇಲು ಗೆಲುವು ಸೋಲು ಜೀವನ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮಿಗಿಲು
ಅಂಕಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಮೇಲಿನ ತೊಗಟೆ ವಿದ್ಯೆ ಅದರ ಒಳಗಿನ ತಿರುಳು ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ